Yeah, so one of the things that comes up so often for military spouses, military spouse-preneurs is the feeling of isolation, which
Mhm.
makes great sense, of course. Just like everything we have to do every few years, you have to start fresh. So you start fresh with new community, um, new group of friends, new everything. And that can be really, really challenging to find your crew every time you move. And there's the huge emotional aspect. Like you really are missing the people you connected with at your old duty station. And so when you move to a new one, for example, there's still like, it sounds weird, but there's still like that heartbreak of missing the crew, the community of people that you like came to love and depend on. And so I really think that that's a factor that's not talked about that lot, but I know it's not talked about that much, but I know that I experienced it. And so I know that these spouses relate to, moving to a new place and still kind of like missing their old community. But as far as like finding a new community, it's just important, just as important. Every single place that you go, we've got to have that group to lean into. And that feeling of isolation, of course, comes when you don't. And the funny thing is about feeling isolated, right? It doesn't always come just because you don't have a group of people that you're surrounded by. Sometimes it comes when you do have a group of people you're surrounded by, but they don't get you because they don't get your lifestyle. For example, if you're a military spouse and you meet a group of friends, but they're not military spouses, they can't necessarily relate to
Mhm.
the things that you go through as a military family. And that can still feel very isolating, even if you do have those ladies or those friends around you. So it really is essential to know what you need from your community. If you need people who understand what you're going through as a business person, then you've got to build a community of other business people. If you need people to understand your journey as a spouse, as a military spouse, you've got to find your community of military spouses. And I'm not talking like it doesn't have to be a whole crew, right? You don't have to have a giant community of people. You couple people that you can lean into and depend on and just talk about life and be a shoulder, lend a shoulder, get a shoulder, um, troubleshoot like life's challenges. All of that stuff's important. So, I mean, you're going to find that in a lot of areas, right? A lot of over the years, when every time we moved, one of the major places that I found my community every time we did shift to a new location was the gym.
Mhm.
Like, and you don't have to be like a, a gym rat, right? You can just go and let it be what it's going to be. Um, you don't have to be like a hardcore bodybuilder. Just let it be your away time to get some me time, stuff like that. And if you really enjoy it and you dive into it, you'll start to notice that there are people there that you can build your community around. And the
Yeah.
funny thing about the gym is it can be a really intimidating place to meet people actually because it's really in the zone.
Mhm.
But I think you find a lot of time if you get up the courage to approach somebody that, seems like they might be a cool personality you want to connect with, you'll find that when they come out of the zone, they're not that like really intense, intimidating person that you perceive them to be. You probably find that you'll find a lot of really cool, really grounded people. But you kind of got to get out of your comfort zone there. And the other, go ahead. No,
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 I
no.
was
So
going to
you have a
talk
gym
about. I
community
was going
story.
to talk about the gym. That's
Yeah,
my
so you got
obsession.
it.
So, well, what I was going to say is that it is sometimes challenging to meet new people in the gym, but I think once you start seeing each other regularly, then it makes it easier to just a hi or something like that because that happens with me. I'll see people in the locker room or something, and it just starts out with a hi, or they'll see me doing something and they'll come over and we'll talk about it, and then that's how these friendships that I have kind of developed over the time. And I love going to the gym. It's like my favorite time. I feel like it's the only time I get to really socialize and burn, some of the stress and pressure off. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah. And when you start to build, even if it's not the people you're going out to have coffee, right? You have a gym community over time. You build this gym community and you do start to like build that rapport after seeing each other, repeatedly. And man, nobody pumps you up like your gym community.
Oh my
I
gosh, you
I mean, everybody's on like a natural high, right? From having like the
well, and then
endorphins or whatever hormones.
especially if you're doing, I like to lift weights. And so if you're doing something, that is impressive or something like that, a lot of people, not just, women, are super supportive in the
Mhm,
gym.
mhm,
And they will encourage you, or tell you when they see like you're making changes or your body is actually changing, which sometimes we can't even see for ourselves. I know I struggle to see when there's changes because obviously I look at myself every day, so it's hard for us to see those little things. But when somebody else is coming in, I think it helps build the confidence. And for me, creates a little bit of accountability by showing up every day, because now everybody is expecting me to be there.
yeah.
Right. And,
And they will
they're
lovingly, sometimes not
right.
lovingly, call you out. If you, where have you been? I haven't seen you in a few weeks. You slacking?
Yeah.
They will call
Yeah,
you
and
out.
I need that type of accountability to be like, "Well, where have you been?" or something, or I might get, I mean, we I go a lot, but if I was to miss, I can imagine getting a text message or something saying like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" All that to say that sometimes it can be intimidating to go to the gym, but I think that if you just don't have these high expectations of I'm going to walk in the gym and I'm going to make five friends immediately.
Yeah.
It takes time. It is a process. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And there's, if we're going back to like making military spouse community, like building a new community of military spouses, most of the installations have gyms and they're free. And a lot of
Yeah.
the installations have childcare. So some of the gyms have childcare, some of the installations have childcare where you can bring your kid and then, you drop your kid off and then you can go to the gym. But then, you're bound to find military affiliated people in those gyms on the installation. And so that is a really great way to be able to build that particular community. So,
I That was probably one of the only ways I was able to maintain my sanity when my kids were younger, was taking them to the gym so they could play in the play area
mhm.
while I worked out and had a slight break from any of the parenting things that were going on.
Yeah,
So I highly recommend doing that.
yeah, yeah, that's a great place.
My kids loved it though.
Yeah, we used to be a part of the YMCA, members of the YMCA here in our local area, and they did too. My kids love being able to go there and play on the jungle gym. And if they found out that I went without them or we weren't going on a particular day, they held me accountable too. We want to go. Yeah, so
My kids still go. One of mine just went yesterday to the Y.
nice.
So yeah, they can. It's close enough for them to walk, so they could just go up there and hang
Oh,
out.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.